How you guys doing? Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for wanting to learn more about the word, and I'm here to just explain what Revelation 3:15-16 means when Jesus says that he will spit us out of our mouth if we are lukewarm. So, Revelation 3:15-16, speaking to the Church of Laodicea, Jesus says, I know your works, you are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. So just a little bit of context here. This is the book of Revelation. Now, the book of Revelation is filled with metaphors and hidden meanings and so many double meanings and stuff like that. So it's so important when we read this literature, we have to look back and see what these metaphors are and what they actually mean. So I got most of this information from Vodi Bakum. I'll put a link in the description of the video that I found from him. Just a sermon that he had, and thought it was a very good explanation. If you want a further in-depth explanation that went 15 minutes long, I'll put a link down below. But Laodicea, they couldn't supply any water for themselves. They relied on two other places. One was the Colossae, which we read about um, in the Bible, the Colossians from St. Paul. And the other one was Hierapolis. Now, just going back to the verse, after I've given you guys a little bit of context, 3:15 says, I know your works, you are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. So Jesus isn't referring us to be specifically hot in the sense that, we think that when he says hot, we think, oh, be on fire for Christ, have that fire within us, have that fire in our spirit. And we think of cold as, well, cold and distant from Christ. Jesus isn't saying that I'd rather you, either be fully for me or fully against me and, go all out swinging. That's not what he's saying. And nowhere does he ever say anything under the lines like that. He specifically calls all of us to join him and follow him and take up our cross daily. So that's not what that means. So we're going to have to do a little more research and in-depth thinking of what this specifically means of being lukewarm and what does hot and cold actually mean. So again, what I said, Laodicea, when I talked about the water, Laodicea was very rich in natural resources, but they didn't have water. So they relied on Hierapolis and the Colossae, for their water. So the Colossae, they had cold drinking water. It was 6 miles away from them. They had cold drinking water. So think about it, especially during the summer for them, like the Middle East, hot, humid day. You're sweating. Think about if you're there right now. You're just in the Middle East. You're sweating. It's so hot, and you just try and get some water in Laodicea, and you take a sip, and it's lukewarm. It's not refreshing at all. The reason why it's lukewarm is because by the time from Colossae to Laodicea, which is 6 miles, by the time it comes through the pipes or wherever it came from, by the time it came through, it's lukewarm. It's no longer cold. If you leave maybe a glass of like kind of cold water out and just sitting for like, I'd say maybe 10, 15 minutes, it's not going to be as cold as it was to begin with. So it served no purpose for them. And for Hierapolis had hot water. So there it is with the hot and the cold. Hierapolis had hot water for medicinal purposes or for maybe showers, especially during the winter, potentially. Just there was a lot of use for the hot and the cold water that was needed in day-to-day life in Laodicea and probably most places. But they couldn't get it because Hierapolis was 11 miles away, almost double as Colossae. So by the time Hierapolis's hot water came through the pipes or wherever it came from to Laodicea, it was lukewarm. So the water coming from Hierapolis and the water coming from Colossae into Laodicea served no purpose for them. It was pointless. I mean, It served absolutely no purpose for them. The whole reason why they had the water to begin with, whether that be medicinal purposes or for drinking water, it didn't supply those requests or needs. It was pointless. So Jesus is specifically saying to the Laodicea, you are lukewarm. You serve no purpose. Therefore, he will spit them out of his mouth because they serve absolutely no purpose. So, what we can learn from this is that Jesus does not want us to be lukewarm. He wants us either to be hot or cold, whichever one that may be. And we read in 1 Corinthians 12, we'll start at 14. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. So whatever part of body of Christ that we belong to, we should be that in a sense. Like we should either be either fully hot and fully cold and not lukewarm in between at all. So that was a lot. Please, especially in the book of Revelation, try and read it with precaution in its metaphors, what it specifically means, its context, and everything like that. So don't forget, read your words today on your own, pray to God, and always follow his commandments. May God bless.